Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to the show. I'm Sean David. Let's talk some old school basketball. Now, if we talk about one of the greatest what-ifs in NBA history, we gotta talk about one of my favorite players of all time, Grant Hill. And in this video, I want to take a look at NBA legends giving their comments on how good they think Grant Hill was and could have been. But before we start with this episode, a quick shout out to my Patreons. Thanks a lot, you guys, for supporting the show. It's really appreciated. And I would say, let's get right into it.
With the third pick in the 1994 NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons select Grant Hill from Duke University.
Oh my goodness gracious. Wow. Got it! Grant Hill banks it in from three-quarter court.
Hill picked up by Tiffany, who plays with 4 fouls.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
That's one of the best defensive players in the NBA.
But Grant, let me ask you. I mean, how did you avoid playing the what-if game or what could have been game?
That means he's looking at those cards and not focusing on the rim.
Focus on the rim there. Gibbs over Wallace. Wow! Pistons by 50.
And I think he drew a smile.
Over the years, I've heard Grant tell all sorts of stories of near misses like that, and maybes, coaches that didn't know quite how to use him once he got hurt, additional surgeries that didn't go as planned, a staph infection that nearly killed him. And as he's told these stories, it was frankly obvious that sometimes how good he was, well, it actually was getting lost even on him.
So the first part is from NBA Open Court, my favorite NBA show on today's NBA, and it's Isiah Thomas giving his opinion on how great Grant Hill really was.
I was waiting for it. I had a great 6 years, but I think I didn't win. And I didn't have, we're judged, as Reggie said earlier, on postseason. I didn't have great success in the 90s in the postseason. So, if that's part of the criteria, then yeah, Scotty gets it. But head up,
Head up.
I bet my numbers.
Grant Hill. Head up.
My numbers were,
You
yes.
talk about the numbers being very similar, and they were, except that you had you averaged more points, rebounds, and assists than he did.
No, but wait. Let's
I got more touches.
Let's acknowledge on the real who this guy really is sitting here, because when Jordan was retiring and Grant Hill was coming into the league, we were talking about passing the mantle
To Grant.
Yes.
You was going. So it ain't like you won. Scottie Pippen couldn't carry the league. Jordan carried the league. We're talking about a guy like yourself carrying the league. So you can't sit there and be like, oh, well, Scott,
Hey, you know what? I'll let you say it. You want
the worst Grant Hill ever.
I respect my
No, but it's like, it's like,
you know what? Damn it, it's me.
So the next clip is from The Jump, and I like that clip because it shows on the one side what a great person Grant Hill was, which we all know, but also it features or shows what a great basketball player Grant Hill really was.
And I do want to start with Grant Hill. Tell us what it was like going against him for the kids who only know him as the injured guy or the really nice guy on the broadcast.
Well, for one, I patterned my game after Grant Hill. I used to watch him when he was at Duke every night, whenever he played. And, he was one of the first guys that was like a forward that handled the ball, can bring it up, pass, do everything like a guard. And I remember as a rookie matching up against him, he left me absolutely helpless. This is the one time I felt helpless on the court. It was like the last 3 minutes of the game, and he either scored on me, I fouled him, or he dished it to somebody for a score. And I remember saying to myself, like, this guy is pretty much unstoppable. And, hats off, he deserved everything he gets because he was on his way, to being the best player in the league in his prime. He was right there with Michael Jordan.
I mean, he's like you said, he's a great man and he's a great leader on and off the court. He's a great role model. And for myself, I actually got to meet him at a speaking conference where he was inspiring children. So I think this class, you know, whether it's Kid, Grant Hill, they're all role models for all kids.
Yeah,
He was the LeBron before LeBron.
Yeah.
Just that versatile forward who could do it all, pass, very athletic, and this is what Grant Hill was, what you're seeing LeBron. LeBron, bigger, a little stronger, a little more athletic, but this is who Grant Hill was, a ball-handling forward who can do everything.
And it's amazing to me because, yes, there are so many other great things about him. As you mentioned, speaker, he's been very involved in politics. He's talked about maybe he'd like to run for office one day, part owner of the Atlanta Hawks, that he, is broadcaster. The injuries, of course, we always talk about. The basketball shouldn't get lost in this, and that is why he is being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Again, the next clip is from NBA Open Court. The segment was called Missed Opportunities, and it's very nice to see how many legends really give Grant Hill respect. Let's have a look.
I'm seriously, the what if game is still close to the game.
Right.
Because it's going to hit him about 4 years later, and he's going to say, man, what if? Like, if I wasn't, because we'll start showing the highlights here at Turner, and we'll start, all of a sudden he'll remember, he'll get back into elite player. Like, for me, I was like, I had tendonitis that was chronic. And the days I didn't have it, I didn't feel anybody could guard me. And then days I had it, and I said, what if certain guys play their whole career, never had it. Like, never felt it, understood what that was like. I didn't do that right afterwards. It was like 3 or 4 years after. I'm like, man.
I think for Grant, we all played the what if game for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's well said.
How many times did you say why me?
Because I think.
Well, I did say that.
How many times you say why me, knowing that all you've been through?
But I probably thought more about my Detroit years and maybe what if. Just being, first of all, a lot of you guys are contemporaries. So I played against you guys, so it brings back memories. But, it really was another lifetime. I've kind of put that way back in the memory.
But that's what makes you Grant Hill. You're humble. But I think the what if game from us, competing against you, watching you play, I have never seen anything like that. You didn't have a lot with you. And you
that's
made
a little
it
disrespectful, but that's all right.
I will say this, though. It's funny, with YouTube now and things like that, my children, my daughter, who's 11, she'll get on there every once in a while. She'll like, Dad, you were pretty good. Like, you weren't always a scrub. She got
to refer to you as a scrub.
Dad, you can't guard LeBron. You can't guard Carmelo. You can't guard those guys. And it's like, man,
Okay, it's coming out. It didn't take 4 years. It didn't take 4 years. Because you could. Think about that.
Right.
You just said you can't guard. And the first thing in your mind, and this is from athlete to athlete thinking, you like, I could guard LeBron and Carmelo and those guys. You pick that up right here, right now.
The competitor in you is there, but the problem was, and I didn't dwell on it, but I felt like you go into a fight and you don't have all your weapons. And so I could defend, and you're part of going against them and guarding them is giving them a dose of what you can give them.
Right.
And so I never really could, so I figured out a way to try to be successful, try to contain guys like that, and try to help my team.
Now, the next clip is from Jalen Rose, and we all know that the relationship between Jalen Rose and Grant Hill at first was really, really bad. But I think it got better over the years, especially when Jalen Rose started to work for television, and he truly admits, basically admits why he was saying those bad comments about Grant Hill. And let's have a look.
And we've got Grant Hill co-hosting with me on Monday morning, the 94 NBA Rookie of the Year, filling in for Golic right here, Mike and Mike, on Monday morning. Grant Hill for 4 hours, a guy you dueled against since you were, 12 years old?
Absolutely, and it was kind of like the movie Face Off, Nicolas Cage.
And John Travolta.
It was sort of similar to that. He probably didn't care or think about it like that, but I did, because ultimately it seemed like he had everything that I wanted. He came from a tremendous family. His mom was roommates with Hillary in college. He had a famous athletic dad that he knew and he loved and it was in his life. I had a famous athletic dad that I didn't know that wasn't in my life.
Yeah, Jimmy Walker.
He went to the University of Duke University, where, especially during the early 90s, it became a good versus evil, playing against the evil University of Michigan thugs versus the polished Dukies. So it was always there as an undercurrent. So the best quote that I heard was kind of like Alexander Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby. He's a movie star, but I'm a rock star.
All right, you guys, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this video. Just one more thing on the Basketball Time Machine podcast. So on Spotify and on iTunes, I have a new podcast online with NBA legend and 5-time NBA champion Michael Cooper from Los Angeles Lakers. Check out the podcast. It's exclusive, so you won't find it here on YouTube. All right, enough said. Take care and goodbye.